Okay, here we are. We're going to make a form now for the bricks to go across in the fireplace, the archway above the opening. I just put some paper on the front of this board, lay it down, then you take a pencil with a string attached to it, and then you find a point back here. You'll have to experiment a couple times to see where you get it. I've already done this, so I know it's right there. And then you just draw, the string helps you draw a perfect arc. You just draw this arc in place like that. Now your board has an arc across the top. And then you'll just have to cut this. I'll probably use a bandsaw. You could probably take several slices with a, now you can do it with a handsaw or whatever you happen to have. A jigsaw would be nice. Cut it like that. And then this will be our form. I'll take this back outside and mount it and show you what it looks like in the fireplace, and we'll lay bricks on it. Here we are with the arch in place. There's the board we cut at with a curve in it, and then on top of that I just put another real thin 1/8 inch bendable board. You see this is kind of flexible here, and I just screwed it in about 4 or 5 different places. That gives a place for the bricks to land, and that'll stay. And then I attached these 2x2s on the bottom and wedged it in into the fireplace. That form just needs to stay there while the bricks dry. Leave it in there for a couple days, and then you can just pop the form out from underneath, and the bricks will magically stay in an arch. There was quite a bit of cutting, actually. As you can see, some of those triangular shaped pieces that was done on this tile saw. It uses the same blade as that angle grinder I cut with earlier. This is a $70 item at Menards. Before we start bricking up the outside, though, let's take another look at the inside, see what's been done in here. Some scrap brick thrown in here and mortared in tight. Back corners are mortared in. Now, right in here, this front edge of fire brick is sort of glued on to the red brick. There's a couple of screws stuck into the mortar of the red brick to give this something to rest on. And over here, just a demonstration of where how the red brick is going to lay coming around. Remember, the red brick is going to come around like this and go across. And then on top of that, to cover the hole in front, these guys, fire bricks, are going to lay in like this, and you can imagine all the way across. Be kind of tilty, but it'll work. And then actually we're going to lay a lintel in here. So the lintel, once all those fire bricks are under there, that lintel lays in across the top to provide extra support for the mantle, which is going to go lay on top of that. And we'll put extra mortar in here so that the lintel is more stable. And that should do it. Here's the progress. We're at 6 courses above the mantle, and this is where we're going to start curving in at a 45 towards the chimney to make it smaller. First of all, that upper pipe has been put on. You can see right here, this is an X-flue pipe, and it was put in with the correct refractory mortar, the stuff that does not dissolve in water. You just basically gum up the top of the bottom pipe and then set the other one on top of it and smooth around it. Nothing to it really, just drop it right on. And then, this is probably an unorthodox way of cutting the slant. I think usually you cut each brick as you put it in. But I decided to have a cleaner edge, that I would just go ahead and lay the bricks, too many bricks. Notice the jagged edge, because I don't really care where they are, just so long as I have enough to cover. And then I've been cutting with a saw, this saw here, it's called an angle grinder with the diamond blade. I just taped the edge right here, see what it looks like. Measured where I wanted it, and then cut that edge. And the same thing over here, I'll cut that edge. And I'll demonstrate a little bit of that right now. Okay. And my son is using the leaf blower to keep the dust out of our eyes as we work. And now that the bricks are only cut so far, because the blade doesn't quite make it through, what I've been doing is just tapping them, and they break off. There, they've been breaking off. And then we'll clean up the other, well, see, they break off like this. You get that, and then I'll take the angle grinder back in there and clean up that edge, and then we'll have a complete 45 ready for laying bricks. Okay, now we're closing in the angled sides. As you can see right here, once we cut this away, then this first brick had to be cut at a 45 all along there, and then each one of these are just laid right on top of that. And then eventually there'll have to be another one cut at a 45 up here. Over here is the hole before it's done. And the proper thing to do, well, you can notice up here, there's the steel bar holding the bricks above. The proper thing to do in here is to flat plate lintels that you can lay in here. I guess they're not called lintels, but some kind of steel bar. I had some stuff at home. If you can see this, it's a just a couple of actually old signs that someone gave me, and I tied them together with some wire, and then I reinforced them on the back with more of that steel bar. It's a cheap way to do it. Once they're laid in and they're dry, it doesn't matter what's underneath. Those are just to hold them while they dry, because they'll form a tight enough bond to hold themselves in. What you do want to make sure you do is get something that's nice and solid, because there's quite a bit of weight on those bricks while they're drying, and if I just put the signs on here, it would bend. So don't just plan on putting sheet metal. You have to reinforce it with something or get thicker steel bars to get that done. Just put the last blue tube on top up there using refractory mortar. Glue it on. I want to give you one hint about doing these slanty bricks. Cut and put this first row on as a cleat, basically. Let it dry, and then come in and start putting in, you know, your next bricks as you go. Reason being is, if this is still wet and you start laying bricks on top of this, they tend to all want to slide down the hill and squish that brick out, and it's a real pain. It just gets a real mess to try to hold all those bricks in place as you're working. Both slants, the 45s on both sides, have been bricked up, and the flue tube has been bricked up, 4 or 5 bricks there, and then cut off. There's the rest of the flue tube there. I just actually took the angle grinder and cut off what I didn't need.